Babu wangu si ajali nilipata. Mimi nilishikwa na polio nikiwa wa miezi 6, vile niliambiwa na wazazi wangu. Je, umeomoka? Kama hujaomoka kwenye Quickbit ndio mambo yote. Hapa tuko na fridge, kodi yake ni CM. Tuko na gas cooker, kodi yake ni CK. Tuko na TV, kodi yake ni TV. Tuko na simu aina ya Samsung ni SM, ama Oppo ni Oppo. My friend, mahali popote unanitazama, eka hizo kodi zake kisha utume kwa 4032353. 4032353. Alafu utakuwa unaomoka na hizi bidhaa. Kumbuka kwenye Quickbit ni bila bora zaidi kwa bei ya chini kwa chini.
April 11th, the year 2021. You're just in time for the latest in Kenya and beyond borders. KBC Lunchtime News begins right now. We got a lot that has been shaping this particular Sunday. We are going to be informing you in our comprehensive news bulletin that begins right now. It's interactive, so do engage us on social media at KBC Channel 1 and at Serfine _Achieng on Twitter, Serfine Achieng on Facebook. I will be sampling some of your views as we continue with this particular broadcast. My name is Serfine Achieng Ouma and our sign language interpreter is Lensa Odingo. Now let's kickstart straight away. ISIOLO County government has suspended all non-essential office services for 30 days following a surge in COVID-19 positive cases and fatalities. The county has reported 297 cases and 16 deaths within a month.
In a circular copy to all heads of department, ISIOLO County Secretary Dr. Ahmed Galgalo, who is also the head of Public Service Directorate at all county government offices, remains closed for the next 30 days, barring the essential service providers who include the Department of Health, the Fire Department, the County Treasury, the Department of Water and the Municipality Office. The departments were directed to deploy field officers as usual in order to avoid disruption of critical services in the county. According to the county secretary, all office operations save for essential services will now be discharged from home, noting that the directive will be reviewed upon an assessment of the situation in the county after the lapse of the 30 days.
When we noted this, then we found that the governor, His Excellency the Governor, Dr. Mohamed Abdikuti, actually found the trend was really very worrying, and therefore he informed me to communicate through a circular to the ISIOLO County government employees that we implement working from home directives.
All staff members aged 58 years and above and those who have pre-existing conditions have also been advised to make appropriate arrangements to work from home.
That is the arrangement we have put in place, and these are just measures to contain the spread of this pandemic, because we have experience. In fact, there are cases which has not been confirmed, but we have experienced a number of deaths around in this county.
Members of the public are now prohibited from accessing ISIOLO County government public offices during the work from home period, with bold notice letters displayed in all public office entry points communicating the work from home directive.
We seriously suspect that they are victims of this pandemic, and we are really fearing that if we allow things just to go on normally, then we may lose a number of our people.
Also displayed on the notice board are cell phone numbers of the relevant officers. Timothy Kipnusu, Channel 1 News.
Chief Executive Officer in charge of roads, John Marindanj, who succumbed to COVID-19, has been laid to rest, as Nancy Okwara informs us. Leaders who attended the burial calling on the government to declare COVID-19 a national disaster, urging Kenyans to be vigilant and observe all the containment measures put in place.
Narok County Governor Samuel Tunai termed the late CEC as a diligent worker who was also a peacekeeper among the warring communities in the area.
Kama watu walikuwa nasosana, hatungekuwa tumeleta hii maendeleo ambayo imekuja sasa. Hii amani ndio tunataka ya jamii zote. Jamii ya Kipsigis, jamii ya Maasai, jamii ya Wakuria, jamii ya Kisii.
He further urged the family of the deceased to quarantine in their home as they had interacted with the late CEC prior to his hospitalization.
Kwanza tuangalie health yenu, knowing how things are, tuwaweke medication immediately. Tuwapime vizuri. Hapa mkae kama itakuwa, we know how to treat you. We control this area, you put you in medication, madawa kila kitu, muwe sawa.
Emuru Adikir, Member of Parliament Johanna Ngeno, calling on the national government to declare COVID-19 a national disaster following the many deaths reported.
Because the moment we declare COVID as a national disaster, ile pesa ingine yote ingeharibiwa na kufanyia mambo yenye haina maana sana. Itaelekezwa kusaidia watu wasikufe kwa hii ugonjwa.
I want to tell na kuambia watu wakati, tafadhali tuchukulie ugonjwa hii kukua kitu ambaye ni hatari kabisa.
Elsewhere, Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula has urged the government to use the lockdown currently enforced in the 5 disease-infected counties to vaccinate more people against COVID-19.
That this closure of the country is meaningless if we are not using it to inoculate and vaccinate people against corona. We want to see mass vaccinations.
Wetangula urging the Ministry of Health to consider acquiring the Sputnik V vaccine in a bid to reach more people.
Badala ya kufukuza hii dawa kutoka Russia, irudi huko. Ichukue, mlipie, mpeane, wadunge watu sindano, watu wapone. Kama dawa imeingia Kenya, it doesn't matter whether it was brought by a devil or somebody we don't like or somebody a profiteer. Confiscate it if it was brought wrongly, but use it for the right reasons.
Senate Speaker Ken Lusaka, who was in Kabuchai, saying the House was set to discuss matters pertaining the disbursement of funds to the devolved units to aid in the war against the pandemic.
Jumanne nimeitisha what we call special sitting katika bunge la Senate ili kuweza kujadili mswada wa kupeleka pesa ile itaenda national government na ile itakuja kwa counties. Kwa hivyo inajua sikio tutamaliza, na hii pesa ikikuja vile mheshimiwa amesema ufanye kazi sawa sawa.
Nancy Okwara, Channel 1 News.
And the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims has appealed to the government to provide relief food to Kenyans who are facing starvation in arid and semi-arid land counties during the month of Ramadan. Now, while in Narok, SUPKEM chairman Hassan Ole Nado said the number of people facing starvation has increased to 1 million. Kenyans in counties of Tana River, Wajir, Garissa, Mandera and ISIOLO. The holy month of Ramadan is set to kick off Tuesday. The period will be observed amid the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Having the prevailing socio-economic environment in mind, the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims is appealing to the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, to mobilize his government's resources, officers, the private sector, and both local and international development partners of goodwill to support the Muslim communities all across the country. Specifically, we seek his support in our efforts to mobilize both material and financial resources that will assist identified needy families during the holy month of Ramadan.
Now moving on to Uasin Gishu County, more than 120 youth and women groups from 30 wards in Uasin Gishu are set to benefit from an empowerment program which includes agribusiness and chicken rearing. Speaking during the initiative's launch, Uasin Gishu Governor Jackson Mandago urged residents to be development-oriented, adding that it is paramount for them to take advantage of the programs being rolled out so as to empower themselves economically. The beneficiaries acquired 85,000 grafted passion fruit seedlings, 5,000 liters of capacity water tanks, 30 incubators, fertilizers, top dressing and foliar fungicides and trailing wires.
You reduce the cost of production by availing yourself kama labor, and you can cost that labor kwa project. Useme kuchimba mashimo is this much, shimo moja ni hii. Weka pale ingoje wakati profit itatoka mnaondoa, mnajilipa wale mlichimba mashimo. Mambo ya agronomy, tuko na our extension officers. Lakini you as a young person who have access to internet, wewe kwa nini usianze kusoma about passion fruits? The agronomical best practices. Ndio extension officer akikuja ni kuaccelerate wewe, already you have working knowledge.
Mama tumefaidika sana kwa kasi ya kuku. Tulipewa kuku na county, tukapewa kuku karibu 1,500 kwa kila group, na tumelea hiyo kuku. Saa hii tuko na mayai na tuko na kuku ya kuuza.
Incubators tukizipata zitatusaidia mayai zetu, kwa sababu zimekosa market. Tutakuwa tukiagua vifaranga na tukiuza hizo vifaranga, at least itatuweka mahali. Hatutapaki vile mahali hapo tena.
Jana tumeungana pamoja, tumeshirikiana pamoja kuhakikisha kwamba hasa tunapata yale ambayo yanatakikana kwa kusukuma maisha hii. Hasa tunajua kwamba vijana wengi hawajaajiriwa, lakini kupitia njia mojawapo ya serikali ambayo imetoa fursa ya kuwapa passion fruits na kuku, watapata kujiendeleza kimaisha.
Now from Uasin Gishu, it was not a very good situation in Nyandarua County, where a somber mood engulfed residents of Boiman village in Gadhanji, Oljoro Orok constituency of Nyandarua County during the emotional send-off of KIKUYU BENGA musician Albert Gasheru, popularly known as Wamaitu, and his elder brother Basilio Ngunjiri Gasheru. They passed on at a Nairobi hospital on the 6th of April due to chronic pneumonia, while his elder brother Basilio Ngunjiri died a day later of a COVID-19 related complications. Dozens of mourners who had turned up to bid goodbye to the Benga musicians were turned away due to the COVID-19 protocols.
Shock and grief dominated the send-off ceremony of the popular Kikuyu musician Albert Gasheru, popularly known as Wamaitu, and his elder brother Basilio Ngunjiri, as residents struggled to come to terms with the double tragedy of burying two family members in a single swap. Gasheru, popularly known for Mwendo wa Wakwa Mariru, a hit song in the 90s. Lost the battle to chronic pneumonia, while his elder brother Basilio Ngunjiri died when receiving treatment at Olkalau's Memorial Hospital over COVID-19 related complications. Family, residents and musicians present eulogized the two brothers as dedicated, loving and persons who are always ready to work and support the community.
You took our troubles as yours and fit in our shoes. This is definitely the hardest tribute that we ever thought of.
Alikuwa anasimamia chama na hakika ya kwamba wale ambao wanajua music corporate, Wamaitu alikuwa a fighter na ku make sure kila mwanamuziki ambaye ni registered kwa music corporate amepata haki yake.
Nyimbo zote alikuwa anatunga alikuwa ananiamusha usiku, yeye anaiba. Namuuliza, bwana, unaniamusha na ninaenda kazini? Wewe hapana jali, hii wimbo inaitwa Mumunya, vile unasikia iko mzuri, tutakuja kuiuza vizuri sana. Na kwa kusema ukweli, hiyo wimbo Mumunya alikuwa natuga, tulikuwa na yeye na nyingine zote.
Tamko Sacco chairperson Efa Maina observed that the music industry has lost a dedicated artist who was at the forefront in fighting for the rights of musicians.
Gashero ndio aweze kutoka kwa sababu najua ni wakati wa COVID, wakati ilikuwa mdogo sana, na ndio tufuate restrictions vile zimewekwa. Imebidi shamba, title deed ya shamba ipeane hospitali ndio kusudi aachiliwe waweze kuzikwa na ndugu yake siku ya leo. Kwa hivyo naomba watu wa nia njema, viongozi wote, kuanzia president wetu na watu wote, governor, watu wote, mashabiki, tujaribu sana tushikilie hii familia ndio tuweze kutoa hiyo title deed kwa hospitali.
Majority of the mourners who had turned up for the burial were turned away by security officers as they moved in to ensure that the Ministry of Health protocols aimed at putting at bay the spread of COVID-19 pandemic was strictly followed. Gasheru, known to many as Wamaitu, died at the age of 59 years and was popular with his hit songs such as Mwendo Wako Mariru, Mumunya, Wairimu, among others. For Channel 1 News, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Rest well, Wamaitu. Thank you, Gladys, for taking us back down memory lane. How some of us used to sing along hilariously to the lyrics we could not understand back in the days when we were growing up is a story for another day. Rest in peace, Wamaitu. Now, that story takes us to our first break right here on KBC Lunchtime News. We are coming back with much more after this.
Je, umeomoka? Kama hujaomoka kwenye Quickly ndio mambo yote. Hapa tuko na fridge, kodi yake ni CM. Tuko na gas cooker, kodi yake ni CK. Tuko na TV, kodi yake ni TV. Tuko na simu aina ya Samsung ni SM, ama Oppo ni Oppo. My friend, mahali popote unanitizama, eka hizo kodi zake kisha utume kwa 4032353. 4032353. Alafu utakuwa unaomoka na hizi bidhaa. Kumbuka, kwenye Quickly ni bila bora zaidi kwa bei ya chini kwa chini.
Ili kupata skiza tune hii ya jitume mwenyewe kwa simu yako, bonyeza *811*963#.
Unavyojikakamua kupata ufanisi, ndivyo utakavyofurahi baada ya kufanikiwa. Usisubiri kusukumwa na mtu, jitume mwenyewe.
Ili kupata skiza tune hii, bonyeza *811*963#. *811*963#.
This is the normal days you're going back to school. And my friend tells me, Pauline, before you go, let's just go help my brother so that I won't have a lot of work when you go to school. They were 4 men in that house.
One thing led to the other, and I was drugged, and then later on, I was sodomized.
After a victim has been raped, the first thing they should do is they should not take a shower and they should not change their clothes.
Victims of rape go through distressing experiences that sometimes leave them with feelings of self-hate and blame.
Join me and boy attended this Sunday at 9 p.m.
Next on.
Toa nikupe, hiyo ndio hongo, na huo ndio ufisadi.
Sio kuna bandia yangu, wao walisema unaitwa Muhammad nani? Sio Muhammad nani? Kwani mtakana mwingine tafadhali. Hii ndio faida yako na ndio. Sasa hii kazi katika nini? Na mwaka hii mwingine anaongeza hapa lazima ongeze ni
lakini sasa hivi kazi sio kujipata. Kama kuingia kama morning.
Kuingia morning ndio singebeba ID. How can you be a student ambaye hana ID?
Madam.
Okay. Sasa mbona hapa mwingine anasema?
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Now, moving on, the Forest Department, in partnership with the Security Department in Bunyala Sub-County of Busia County, is planning to plant 4.6 million seedlings this rainy season as their contribution to the country's goal to attain the national average of 10% forest cover in every county. Speaking in Budalangi after planting 2,000 seedlings to kickstart the campaign, Deputy County Commissioner Grace Ouma appealed to residents to heed to the call and plant more trees, especially in the region which has a very low tree cover.
I have a target of 4.6 million seedlings for Bunyala Sub-County. And during the launch today, we had 2,000. So we are expecting about 20 seedlings still from KFS, and the rest we are supposed to buy. So our challenge is getting the people, the wananchi here, to buy trees to plant. We wish to plant as many trees as possible around and also use the nurseries to feed the outlets. It's like a demonstration farm, but also providing seedlings to be planted out there. So far is that Bunyala has the lowest tree cover.
And now 6,000 needy families within Nairobi will get food rations in the spirit of Ramadan thanks to a philanthropic organization in the city. The Muslims for Muslims, a humanitarian aid group, has partnered with a number of organizations to feed needy families in Kangemi, Dandora, Kamukunji, Starehe, Embakasi and Mathare. The identified families will get foodstuffs like flour, sugar and cooking oil to celebrate the month of Ramadan.
Hii tunaita kama ndio phase 1, yani ndio tunaanza leo na tunapeana chakula kwa familia 1,000 kwa leo, na nia yetu na azma yetu ni kwamba tutaweza kupea familia 6,000 chakula hichi cha Ramadhani, na tunaomba Wakenya wote na wasaidizi katika hali yote ile kuja pamoja nasi ili tuweze kusaidia familia hizi.
Zaka Kenya is actually a collaboration of many groups, the groups from the societies, Kibera, Kawangware, Kangemi, Korogocho, and all the slums of Nairobi. They all come together to collect something so that they can take to these families either in Ramadan and other times of the month.
And Ramadan Kareem for our Muslim brothers and sisters ahead of that season. Now, fish traders in Migori County have gotten a reprieve following the revamping of the Opapo fish plant in Rongo Sub-County. The program, which is being done in collaboration between the Kenyan government and the private sector, seeks to eradicate vices such as transactional sex in fish trade by empowering traders through capacity building, value addition and access to market for their produce. For decades, fishing has remained the main economic activity for residents of lakeshore counties like Migori. with women forming a larger percentage of those involved in fish trade. Socioeconomic factors such as poverty, cultural practices, and competition among women who are involved in fish trade has exposed them to risks such as sexual exploitation. Fishermen seem to be taking advantage of the stiff competition between the women to demand for sexual favors in exchange for fish, a vice commonly known as sex for fish, which has been termed as the biggest contributor to the high HIV and AIDS prevalence along the lake region, where it is double the national average. The narrative is, however, changing following the revamping of the Opapo fish plant in Opapo Ward, Rongo Sub-County in Migori County. The program, which is being facilitated by the national government in collaboration with Rio Fish Company, seeks to eradicate transactional sex in fish trade.
For the women, we found out that their male counterparts take advantage and ask for sexual favors in return for allocation of fish. So we are now empowering the women to be able to farm their own fish and sell it without depending on their male counterparts. So it's called the sex for fish vice, which we are trying to fight as well.
Dr. Francis Owino, the Permanent Secretary in Fisheries, Aquaculture and Blue Economy, also says that the program will entail cutting down the cost of production for traders by providing fish fingerlings and feeds.
Partnering with the county government, the program will ensure that fingerlings are available. And as we speak today, we have brought in 15,000 fingerlings for this pond. Secondly, we have a challenge of fish feed. This program brings in an intervention.
In fish farming, 80% of the cost is cost of feeds, which is very expensive for the farmer. And so a lot of farmers start and they stop on the way because they can't afford. I mean, one of the ways to boost this is if we can get a revolving fund where we can give the farmer the fish feeds on credit.
The plant, which is located 8 kilometers from Rongo town, has been in operation for the last 6 months and now has a restaurant located within the premises. The restaurant's proprietor, Bob Okello, however, says that the COVID-19 restrictions have had a great impact on their business.
And when we go to collect fish, you cannot travel at night. And so if we don't get support to be able to move and collect the fish, then people will not be able to find fish here to buy, to go and use in events or use in funerals or, spend wherever.
When the fisherman or the fish farmer is ready with their fish, they don't know, they start thinking of which market can I take this fish. So we are now telling them that we have market ready for them and they can bring all their fish here. We will handle it properly, store it and then distribute it through our market system, which are basically benchmarking on the franchises that we have.
The revamping of the fish plant is part of the government's agenda of operationalizing fish plants established under the year 2009-2013 economic stimulus program in 4 counties in the country. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Serfine Achieng Ouma. Now, crossing the borders, a remembrance service for the Duke of Edinburgh is to be held in Canterbury Cathedral as the UK observes a period of official mourning. The period of national mourning will end after 17th of April, when Prince Philip's funeral will take place at the St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle.
The remembrance service for the Duke of Edinburgh will be led by the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, who is also expected to lead Prince Philip's funeral next Saturday. Prince Philip's royal ceremonial funeral will take place April 17th at Windsor Castle in a slimmed-down service under the UK COVID-19 measures. Only 30 people expected to be the Duke's children, grandchildren and other close family can attend the funeral. Elsewhere, more than 80 people have been killed by Myanmar's security forces in a crackdown on a protest in the city of Bago. Witnesses told local media that soldiers had used heavy weapons and had shot at anything that moved. The military is reported to have taken away the bodies of those killed, and the true number of deaths may never be accurately established. More than 600 people have been killed since last month's military coup. And the Caribbean island of St. Vincent has been blanketed in a layer of ash, bringing a major disruption after a volcano erupted. The volcano, which has been dormant for decades, started to become active in December. About 3,000 people spent Friday night in emergency shelters, and some 16,000 were vacated from ash-covered vulnerable areas. For Channel 1 News, I'm Jacqueline Masharia.